Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon, and welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 37. And this week we have a little bit of NFL news, not that much, about like 4 or 5 topics this week. And then we have a few quick hits, and then after quick hits, we're going to go to reactions. After reactions, we'll have the week 12 recap. We have no power rankings this week. We will also have week 14 predictions, stardom, sit-em, and then one question of the week. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. Alright everybody, we're going to jump right into this. So we're going to start off with the first topic. And this week we're going to start off with the Raiders quarterback, Gardner Minshew, done for the season with a broken collarbone injury. This is a huge blow to a Raiders team that really has not been good at all this year. I mean, right now, currently, they're one of the worst teams in the league and could potentially be a team in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick. And Minshew injured his collarbone while landing on his shoulder during a sack while he was being sacked, and I'll say it again. It has really not been a great year for the Commanders. Really, we thought after Antonio Pierce became the head coach of the Raiders for a short stint, whenever they fired Josh McDaniels or something, I forget his name. We thought he was gonna be a good head coach. They had a really good run, a really good record, during that year, and it's really just not been the story, especially this year. I mean, really, if we start back. Week 1, you lose to the Chargers by 12. Week 2, you barely beat the Ravens by 3, which was a huge win. You lose to the Panthers. You beat the Browns. You lose to the Broncos. You lose to the Steelers. You lose to the Rams. You lose to the Chiefs. You lose to the Bengals. You lose to the Dolphins. You lose to the Broncos. It's just really been a rough year for the Raiders, and I feel so bad for them. It's only getting worse. I mean, the Raiders quarterback at the start of the season, Aiden O'Connell, returned this week on the Black Friday game from a thumb injury he suffered. He was out for like 4 to 6 weeks, which is a huge blow to their roster. Aiden O'Connell was the original starting quarterback at the start of the year, and then he got hurt, like I just said, with a thumb injury, and then Gardner Minshew came in as a starter. He went 2-7, throwing for 2,013 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. So really not a great short stint that Gardner Minshew had. I mean, when you have a 9 and 10 touchdown INT ratio, it's really not good. I mean, the games that he only played 9 games, okay? It wasn't a whole lot of games that Minshew played. And the games he played, I'll see if I can somehow count. So he didn't play the first 2 because he went 2-7. So he didn't play against the Ravens or the Chargers. I think he started against the Panthers, which they lost, and then they only had 1 win after that. So we'll see what happens with the Raiders. They're not looking good at all. I would say at this point just start tanking for the number 1 pick, or at least a top 3 draft pick this year in this year's draft, which I think that'd be really good for them. Back to Gardner Minshew, though. I mean, like I said, he's really not been like what we expected, especially coming off of the year that he had with the Colts, where he filled in for Anthony Richardson for the rest of the season when Anthony Richardson only started 4 games. He looked like a starting quarterback, and that's one of the reasons the Raiders picked Gardner Minshew up, is because he did so well in the Colts. Potentially taking them to the playoffs but unfortunately they lost to the division rival Texans because their running back dropped the ball, and they eventually were eliminated from the playoffs from there on out. And so Minshew looked like a starting quarterback. He lost, the Raiders had a quarterback competition between Minshew and O'Connell. O'Connell won it, but then like I said, he had a thumb injury, and so Minshew started, and it really wasn't any better. But yeah. That's on Gardner Minshew. The Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham, says he's done for the year after a torn triceps injury. It's really devastating to see this happen. The fact that Graham said that it was his final, it was likely going to be his final year in the NFL. I mean, it's his 15th season this year, and he's really been. I feel like he's more under the radar. I mean, when I say that, I mean like I've not heard hardly anything about him or any highlights about him. He's a key piece to what the Eagles do for sure, and you just hate to see this kind of stuff, especially Graham, who was in his 15th season. During the offseason, he said this was likely his last year, but we'll see if that changes with the injury. I mean, he's the first player to play 15 seasons in Philly in Eagles history. I'm pretty sure that basically means throughout his career. He's the first player to do that in Eagles franchise history. He's also the third in Eagles history with the most sacks. So, I mean, that just shows you how good of an asset that Brandon Graham is. And the Eagles have actually exceeded expectations in what everyone thought they were going to be coming into this year. I mean, I feel like a lot of people didn't think that they'd be this good. I mean, sure, a number one in the division, yeah, I would say that everyone thought they were going to be number one in the division because no one thought the Commanders would be this good. No one knew the Giants was going to be good. The Cowboys weren't going to be awesome, even though they really aren't. But the Eagles have actually had a pretty good defensive unit. I know the offense carries them, but the Eagles actually have a really solid defensive unit, and Graham is definitely a part of that. So we'll see. I'm interested to see if he will return next year. The fact that he said it was his last year, but obviously with the injury, that could change a lot of things. I mean, Graham finishes the season with 12 solo tackles, 4 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. I mean, those are honestly really good stats for someone who's been in the league as long as he has been. It's just like, who are their edge rushers? I can't think of their edge rushers right now. I mean, obviously Brandon Graham. I guess not really just edge rushers. Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean. I think he rushes sometimes. Honestly, don't know. Nolan Smith Jr. So they have some young guys that will replace him once he retires. I mean, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm interested to see that if he will come back. Like I said, we'll just see what happens. But we're gonna go on to the third topic, and this is actually a topic that honestly This is not what I saw coming. I mean, it involves Daniel Jones. The Vikings signed quarterback Daniel Jones after a recent cut from the Giants. I knew he was going to get picked up this year. I didn't know where. I thought the Cowboys would be a good pick, and I was wrong about that because, I mean, everyone is speculating that Daniel Jones would sign with the Cowboys and replace Cooper Rush and play against the Giants on Thanksgiving Day, and then he would play his former team in like a span of like a week. And I thought that would be pretty cool to see. Obviously, that didn't happen. He went to the Vikings, I think around Wednesday or Thursday. It was earlier in the week. And he will be sent to Minnesota's practice squad. So he's not on the starting roster and not in the 53-man roster yet. I don't want to say that he won't get there. But I honestly, with the way that Sam Darnold is playing, I feel like some people might be looking at this and like saying, why on earth would you do this? Because, I mean, Sam Darnold's been playing magnificent. After Sam Darnold, here comes J.J. McCarthy. He's going to start over them, that's for sure, because he has so much young potential. He has young talent. He's going to be really good, I think. I mean, in the preseason, sure, it was a bunch of third strings, but still, he looked pretty good. But the thing is, I don't know if Sam Darnold will be with the Vikings after this year. I could definitely see him going another direction and being a starting quarterback elsewhere after this year. I would not be surprised about that at all. I think that's why they picked up Daniel Jones. Now, do I think Daniel Jones could be on the roster next year? It'll be close. Because all quarterbacks want, good or bad, all they want is a starting position on a roster. That's all they want. They just want to start. That's literally what every quarterback wants. And I would not be surprised if Daniel Jones left the team during the offseason of this upcoming year, next summer. But, we'll see what happens. I definitely think that Daniel Jones should remain with the Vikings because you never know. Maybe J.J. McCarthy could injure himself again. Maybe I don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll see. But J.J. McCarthy is without a doubt in my mind the Vikings franchise quarterback. I feel like most of the people and most of NFL fans right now would say that J.J. McCarthy is indeed the Vikings starting quarterback for the future. I would be shocked if someone said that Sam Darnold was the future, but face the facts, it's not. Jones agreed to a 1-year deal worth $375,000. So, really, when you're on the practice squad, you don't really get too big of deals. But we'll see. Like, my question is, what if Sam Darnold goes down? Because he dealt with an injury or something, I think, he is currently. I can't remember. But we'll see. We could see Daniel Jones in a Vikings uniform starting. But once again, I have no idea what's in store. But anyway, the fourth and final topic, Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins to miss some time from a knee sprain. This is honestly just devastating to watch. The fact that it was against the Ravens, his former team. And I just feel so bad for him. Like, a potential comeback player of the year. Who suffered a season-ending Achilles tear in Week 1 of last season. Definitely a comeback player of the year candidate. I would not be surprised if he was. And he suffered the injury. Yeah, he has suffered the injury against his former team. He will miss Los Angeles, the Chargers' Week 13 matchup, and he could miss the Chiefs game. And that would actually be a huge blow to the Chargers if he missed that. I think I saw that it's currently up in the air. We will see when the time gets closer. But right now, the Chargers actually have really shocked me, at least. Beating the Raiders, beating the Panthers, losing to the Steelers, losing to the Chiefs, beating the Broncos, losing to the Cardinals, beating the Saints, beating the Browns, beating the Titans, and beating the Bengals, and then barely losing to the Ravens. Honestly, I said this, I feel so bad. This isn't his first knee injury or any of that. His entire NFL career has been filled with not only knee injuries, but just injuries overall. He's been so injury prone throughout his career, and he's a young, talented running back. Once he's healthy, we saw this year through 12 games, or I guess if you want to say 11 and a half, I guess you could say that he actually is really good when he's healthy. In 2021, he tore his ACL. In 2022, he felt knee tightness and only played 8 games. And in 2023, he tore his Achilles in Week 1. He also had a knee injury in high school and a torn ACL in college with Ohio State. So it's really just been a rough football career for J.K. Dobbins, and I really hope that it's not going to be severe. I hope he will return very, very soon. This season has been, like I said, has been Dobbins' best season. Carrying the ball 158 times for 766 yards and 8 touchdowns. Sure, those aren't eye-popping stats, but it's really good whenever you see a player like J.K. Dobbins who has had to go through so much adversity and come out and sure, like I said, they aren't mind-blowing stats, but when you have a duo with Gus Edwards, too, you're going to share some carries. So when you share carries with that kind of running back, it's really impressive. And I really hope that it's not going to be I hope he's not going to be out that long because I would be very disappointed if he was. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, we are going to go on to quick hits. Sorry if my mic is really loud. I'm just checking it. It might be a little loud. Sorry about that. But here we go. Quick hits. We don't have that much to talk about this week. And here we go. We're going to start off the week. We actually have more quick hits than we do NFL topics, I believe. But anyway, we're going to start. Panthers rookie tight end Jatavion Sanders released from the hospital after a neck injury in the loss against the Chiefs, which was actually a pretty interesting game. I was watching it, and the final minutes of it, it was actually a really good game. I was actually surprised how the Panthers were staying with them. It was really impressive. I think the Panthers will definitely be a top 10 team at some point, maybe in about a couple years. I would say 5 years is when they start breaking out. Once they get Bryce Young, a lot more weapons than Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette. So, anyway, Sanders was carted off the field. He was released from the hospital on Sunday night, and Panthers head coach Dave Canales said Sanders avoided a pretty bad injury. So that's the good news. Former All-Pro linebacker Shaquille Barrett is coming out of retirement. Barrett announced his retirement in July, and Barrett is on Miami's roster, but said he wants to rejoin Tampa Bay. I also saw that he will not start for the Dolphins this week, so he's still on the reserved/retired list currently. Lions wide receiver Jamison Williams won't face charges for traffic stop in October. Williams was driving unsafely and had 2 weapons in his vehicle, along with his brother, I believe. Williams has had his his best season with 29 catches, 602 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Really good year for him, a career year for him thus far. Tyreek Hill won't face traffic citations after incident in September. Hill was pulled over for careless driving and not wearing his seatbelt. Hill was pulled out of his car. I mean, if you don't know, that happened it happened a while ago when he was. Yeah, I don't know what the whole incident was about. I don't know what was going on there. And then Rams wide receiver. What's the dude's name? Number 15. The Rams wide receiver. I forget his name. I'm gonna see. Rams wide receiver, who is it? Demarcus Robinson, arrested on suspicion of a DUI in Los Angeles. So we'll see what happens there. And I also saw that Jalen Petrie could be out several weeks. Yeah, Jalen Petrie will be out for multiple weeks, but there's no timetable on his return. So we'll see what happens with Petrie and Demarcus Robinson. But, yeah, those are the quick hits. We're going to go on to reactions now, right? We have about, I'll say, 4 or 5 reactions. But here we go. Let's start off the week with a highlight followed by a low light, okay? We're going to start off with the Commanders' 80-yard touchdown against the Cowboys, okay? That was actually a wild play. I wasn't watching it live, but I was like, there's no way. I mean, Jaden Daniels does it again. How many times is Jaden Daniels going to chuck the ball down the field and his receiver is going to come up and catch the ball and score a touchdown? I'm going to look for it right here. I cannot find this. Here we go. Let's see. It was 86 yards? I thought it was 80. Anyway, right here. All right, 33 seconds. The Cowboys are up by 7. 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. The Commanders on 14, chucks it. Terry McLaurin catches it, and he just weaves through all defenders and scores a touchdown with 21 seconds left. I mean, honestly, Washington has one of the most impressive offenses in crunch time that I've seen in a long time. This is actually just how is that DB just going to let McLaurin slip past him like that? Especially when you have Jaden Daniels on the other side, who's thrown a Hail Mary already in his rookie season. A huge play there, but we're also going to go to the missed extra points. That would have tied this game up, actually. So I'm going to find it right here. Looking for it here. So before I play it, it's 27-26. All right, we're just coming off that touchdown. Here we go. Kicker is lining up. All right, 21 seconds. Game on the line against a 3-7 Cowboys team. Low snap, and he misses the extra point. I don't even know how that happens. He had already missed 2 extra points in the game, and I'm pretty sure he also missed a field goal. So I would expect them to find a kicker here pretty soon, especially after this game. And it's really not his fault. I mean, sure it is, but like these kicking problems have actually been league-wide. Like every kicker is struggling right now in the league, and it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I don't know why this is happening, but it's really unfortunate. Like seeing all these really good kickers, not like especially like Justin Tucker too. I mean, he's a really good kicker. I'm not saying this kicker is bad, but it's like all these really talented kickers are just missing every single time. And as a Bengals fan, Evan McPherson, it's not been pretty this year. And I honestly think Zach Taylor is actually like not trusting him as much. He's going for it on 4th down more often. And it's honestly just a league-wide problem, but hopefully it gets fixed. somehow. I don't know how they're going to do that. But anyway, we're going to go to this was actually before the 86-yard touchdown. I'm going to play it right here. 20-17, 3:02 left on the clock. The Commanders are down 3. Misses the kickoff, and it's like, oh, pin him in at the 15. Actually, no, spin move here. I'm actually going to take off and run to the house. Like, how does that happen? Like, you kick the ball where it rolls under his, it just rolls right past him, has to pick it up, runs it all the way back and scores. I just don't understand how you can let this happen. I don't understand whatsoever at all. Cavante Turpin is really explosive. I remember watching him in the USFL, like the Spring Football League, and I saw him get picked up by the Cowboys, and I was like, this kid's going to be special. I'm so glad he made it to the NFL because, like I said, I watched him in the USFL, like that spring league that's now the UFL now. He's so quick. Like, he's so elusive, and, like, he's so, like, I don't know, slippery, I guess. I mean, I don't know. He's so quick and fast. I don't know how you can catch this guy, but he's really incredible, and he's done a lot of good things for the Cowboys, even though they really haven't been good at all this year. I believe that is all for quick hits. One quick hit that I could not find is the Bears' no timeout call or whatever, where they had, like, 25 seconds, and the Bears decided to not call a timeout, which was actually kind of wild to see. But anyway, we're going to go on to the Week 12 recap. All right, it was actually a pretty wild week. This past week, was it Week 12? Yeah, we're coming up on Week 13, which is actually crazy. Anyway, the Browns beat the Steelers in snowy weather in an AFC North battle, 24-19. Honestly, I said before this game to myself, I was like, I was not going to be surprised if the Browns actually won this game. Even before I saw it snowing, I was like, I would not be surprised because, I mean, when you're in the AFC North, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. And the Browns also beat the Ravens earlier in the year too. Anyway, so the Titans stunned the Texans 32-27. The Vikings beat the Bears in overtime by a field goal, 30-27. Caleb Williams, I'm telling you, sure, Caleb Williams isn't a bust, but he really doesn't have the greatest coaches around him. But yeah, and then Cowboys, like I just showed you the quick hit or the reactions. The Cowboys beat the Commanders 34-26. Somehow they scored again. I don't even know how. I think it was on an onside. Dolphins smoked the Patriots 34-15. The Chiefs barely edged the Panthers 30-27. Buccaneers absolutely smoke the Giants 30-7, which I saw Baker Mayfield mocked Tommy DeVito after he ran in for a touchdown, going like this. I don't know why he did that, but that seems kind of disrespectful. I kind of want to see him get it back now. Lions beat the Colts 24-6. Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19. Seahawks beat the Cardinals in a wild NFC West race, 16-6. I am honestly interested to see how the NFC West will play out. The fact that it's honestly really tight between all four teams, which is honestly really insane. The Packers absolutely gobbled the 49ers 38-10. The Eagles beat the Rams 37-20, and the Ravens beat the Chargers 30-23. All right, Week 12 predictions. Good start to the week so far, I will say. I mean, right now I'm currently sitting pretty good entering the week. Thanksgiving Day games treated me well, 3-0 in Thanksgiving Day games. I had Detroit beating the Bears. That happened. I had Dallas beating the Giants, which happened, and Green Bay beating the Dolphins. 3-0 on Thanksgiving Day games. I predicted Kansas City to beat Las Vegas. I'll have to check the score before we end the episode. I assume the Chiefs won that game. But for Sunday, though, I have Houston over Jacksonville, Indianapolis over New England, which I really don't want to happen. The Chargers over the Falcons, the Seahawks over the Jets, the Commanders over the Titans, the Bengals over the Steelers, and Minnesota against the Minnesota over the Cardinals, which will actually be a really interesting game. The fact that the Cardinals are actually a really solid team this year. For the afternoon games, I have the Rams over the Saints, the Buccaneers over the Panthers in a tight one. Okay, I would not be surprised if the Panthers pulled away with this one. I also have Philly over Baltimore. I mean, I would pick Baltimore if they didn't have a really questionable secondary. They cannot defend against the pass. Both teams have really talented running backs, both MVP candidates, by the way. And when you have Lamar on the Ravens side, sure, it's hard to bet against him. But I have to go with the Eagles the way that they're playing right now on like a 7-game winning streak. For Sunday Night Football, I'm taking Buffalo over San Francisco. This would have been a much better game if this was last year. And then on Monday night, I'm taking the Broncos over the Browns. I would not be surprised if the Browns pulled away with another one. So, currently sitting at a 105-73 overall record, 3-0 on the week, and 33-21 on the month. Good start to the week. Hopefully, we can keep it rolling on Sunday. And I believe now we have NFL Fantasy Stardom Situm. Okay, we're going to pull it up. Honestly, I've actually not been too bad. This year in the DNT Fantasy League. Let's see if I can find Stardom Situm. I'll get to the Deacon's NFL Talk Fantasy League in a bit. But right now, we're going to start off Stardom Situm. Currently, we're going to start off at quarterbacks. We're going to start off with Justin Herbert against the Falcons. CJ Stroud, sorry, I can't talk. CJ Stroud against the Jaguars. Anthony Richardson against the Patriots. Sit Brock Purdy against the Bills. Geno Smith against the Jets, and Kirk Cousins against the Chargers. Wow, there's like hardly anything going on this week in Stardom Situm. We're going to move on to running backs. All right, start Bucky Irving against the Panthers, Chase Brown against the Steelers. He's actually cooking right now. Tony Pollard against the Commanders, and that's all for Stardom. Sit Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby against the Texans, Nick Chubb against the Broncos. So really, it's really quiet this week. I don't know why, but we're going to go to the wide receivers now. All right, start Jackson Smith the Jigba against Jets, Jawan Jennings against the Bills, Brian Thomas Jr. against the Texans, Darnell Mooney against the Chargers. All right, Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Vikings. He's actually really been underperforming since the start of the year. Jalen Waddle against the Packers, and Deontay Johnson against the Eagles. Now we're going to move on to tight ends. And, yeah, like I said, I will get to the Deacon's NFL Talk Fantasy League in a bit. Start Cade Otton against the Panthers, Taysom Hill against the Rams, Dallas Goedert against the Ravens, and Hunter Henry against the Colts. Sit Evan Ingram against the Texans, Dalton Kincaid against the 49ers, and that's all for Situm. We're going to go to kickers, and then after kickers we have defenses. So we're going to go to – there's always a lot of kickers. Start Chris Boswell against the Bengals, Kami Fairbairn, I can never pronounce his name, against the Jaguars. Brandon McManus against the Dolphins, Chase McLaughlin against the Panthers, Justin Tucker. Wow, I wouldn't start Justin Tucker, just so you know. Justin Tucker against the Eagles, Jake Elliott against the Ravens, Will Lutz against the Browns, and John Romo against the Cardinals. Sit Tyler Bass against the 49ers, Chad Ryland against the Vikings, Nick Folk against the Commanders, Jason Myers against the Jets, Eddie Pinheiro against the Buccaneers, and I believe, no, we're not done yet. Matt Gay against the Patriots, Dustin Hopkins against the Browns, and Joey Sly against the Colts. Last one, we have defenses this week. All right. Start the Commanders' defense against the Titans, and that's quite literal. Well, I guess more options. Buccaneers defense at Panthers, and Bills defense against the 49ers if Brock Purdy doesn't play. All right, sit the Eagles defense against the Ravens, the 49ers defense against the Bills, and the Steelers defense against the Bengals. I would say for the rest of the year, don't start any defense that plays the Bengals. Anyway, Deacon's NFL Talk Fantasy League. All right, I'm currently losing to Laporta Potty, I guess. I'm currently 9-3, the number one team in the league, and he is 5-7. I have a 5-game win streak. He has a 2-game win streak. Right now, I have Burrow at quarterback, Joe Mixon at running back, Kyron Williams at running back. I would love to start Chase Brown, but when their things are green, Like, whoever their opponent is, I have to start them. I might regret this again, though. I have also wide receiver Jamar Chase, wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, Travis Kelce. I had Jaden Reed put up 19 points, which is huge, and Brandon Aubrey put up 9 points. And then I have the Steelers defense, which, honestly, when you have the Steelers and Ravens defense, and they're both going up against offenses like the Eagles and Bengals are, I feel like I have to start the Steelers defense because I think they're better. They'll be better against the ground. I'll say that they'll get more sacks than the Ravens will, so I feel like I had to put the Steelers defense over them. I'm currently losing 61 to 41. Hopefully we can win this week, though. Around the league, though, we're going to see what's going on around the league. I don't know. All right, so T-Dog is actually beating Sparks' Skib team 40.30 to 12.40. And then we're going on to the next matchup. Jair is actually losing to CMC Prod 16.30 to 12.30. That's a good matchup there. And I think this might be the last one. Yeah, Falcons is smoking Cannonball 37.24 to 0. And that's all around the league currently. But I also am in another league that isn't the Deacon's NFL Talk Fantasy League. And I'm currently playing the number one team. And I'm beating them right now 34.70 to 0 because DJ Moore cooked and Jake Bates actually got double-digit points, which is actually wild. Week 12, last week I played against the number one team. I beat him by 1 point, and now I knocked him off from the number one spot. So now the guy I'm playing is the number one seed, so I have a chance to beat two number one seeds. Two different number one seeds in 2 back-to-back weeks would actually be huge, bro. But anyway, I don't know. Do we have the question of the week? I don't know if we do or not. I don't think we do. I'm gonna see though. I'm gonna look through it. I also just saw that Matt Eberflus is actually fired as the Bears head coach. So I will get to that next week. That'll actually that's actually huge for the Bears. I mean, the Bears have been waiting for that for a long time. I don't think there's no question of the week this week, guys, but there will be one next week. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. A little bit over time this week, but if you enjoyed, hit the like, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Get notified of every single upload this channel makes. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.